In the top left of the map, we have playing in the purple with the Zerg pieces. It is Anuzarg. The bottom of the map, sport in the blue. It is the Terran who won the first game, Zrqkyvx. So Zrq, he's got to take this one in order to take the match. Anuzar's got to take this map in order to hang in there. This is a best of three, so it's not necessarily over here. Zrq apologizing for stealing his game versus Otter. That was back. Anuzarg's internet, for some reason, kept rebelling against him and kicking him out of the game for 10, 20 minutes at a time. So eventually settled on Zrq as a sub. So it was sad, that happened, but what can you do? Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties, they happen. In any case, Polar Night. Polar Night is a very good map for hiding things. It's so spread out, especially if you have a Protoss playing. They can hide anything pretty much anywhere, and unless it's in the exact middle of the map, you're not guaranteed to scout it unless you get lucky. Now, of course, that can be circumvented somewhat by memorizing where people do this, but in this matchup, it's nowhere near as common. It is possible for the Zerg to proxy tech using a special trick where you create a hatchery temporarily to create creep for a moment so you can build the tech structure, but that I don't know if that's actually used very much in ZVT. It is possible, but I don't necessarily see him going for that. So most likely, proxy tech from the Terran as a possibility, as well as ninja bases that are also possible. Of course, Zrq being very on top of his scouting. He's already gotten a SCV to his opponent's base. Looking around, he sees the spawning pool. Sees the number of drones. Now, for most players, they see this and they're like, okay, it's being a little bit risky with that worker right there. Could have gotten trapped in there if he wasn't careful. Thankfully, he survives. Now he's running him down to the natural. Wants to keep an eye out for eventually. No, hey, he's actually going to go hide him somewhere or bring him back home. Bringing him back home is not a bad decision, by the way. If you have nothing further that you think you can do with the SCV, sometimes just getting those extra minerals out of it isn't necessarily bad. Looks like Fury wants to take the watchtower, just keep an eye on the center of the map. Small little errors here, actually, from Zrq this time. You'll notice at the front of his base, I believe that is an idle SCV hanging out the front door, doing nothing. Roach Warren coming down for Anuzarg. Very, very quick right there. And there he is. Yeah, there he is. I'm right there behind that barracks. This guy's definitely not putting his weight in. You might not think that matters all that much, but if that thing sits there for about a minute, you're losing about 100 minerals. So that's actually pretty brutal. That really can stack up over time. But it looks like he's actually just positioning him to get a command center down. Checking for a natural at the front, does not see one. Anuzarg should be getting, not Anuzarg, Zrq should be getting a little paranoid right now. There's a kind of a lack of any base from the Zerg for this long. You got to start being worried about some kind of timing attack coming in. I think that's a very heavy possibility here. Not only the Roach Worm with the lair coming up soon, Zrq sensing this, throwing down a bunker at the front. The thing is, that's kind of far away from where all the SCVs are, so if there's nothing down there when the actual attack happens, that bunker may not contribute very much to the defense here. So Anuzarg staying on top of things, not getting supply blocked at all. It's important when you're doing a timing attack like this. If you mess up an early supply mark of any kind, in any race really, you're going to be in a lot of trouble when the actual attack starts. Placing down the factory, he's back over at the space. Doesn't look like he's grabbing too much more. It looks like he wants to actually just build Marines, I guess. He doesn't seem to be doing... Okay, yeah, okay, never mind. I think he's saving up for a command center. He's not throwing that down just yet, though. Nope, okay. Double Hellion production. There you go. So, the thing is, against Roaches, this isn't necessarily the best move, and I'm starting to think Anuzarg may actually not be attacking with this. He may have just been doing that to grab a few units, I guess, for defense while he takes an expansion. Now he's going quickly into Hydras. But this is a kind of an awkward thing to do, honestly, because in this situation, I guess it'll work out because he's going to be able to punch these Hellions on the nose as they come in here. They're definitely not the most efficient units against Roaches. As more of them come out, it's going to be putting things in, putting the Terran into an awkward position. Now, Okay, you know what? This actually may be working out fantastically for Anuzarg because his opponent is seriously, I think he might actually be really overreacting to this. He's putting down a lot of bunkers for defense. He's seen a couple roaches. There's a small ball defending here at the front, but he is actually grabbing a natural, and his opponent is not attempting to grab that command center and put that down the low ground. If he goes quickly for a third base behind this, Anuzarg is going to be ridiculously far ahead. Thing is, if he does actually go for this attack though, with 3 bunkers down in the low ground, he should be fine defending it. Again, I mean, it doesn't really look like that's going to be the case. We do have the 6 roaches out at the front now. It's usually a number I think you see for this attack, but he's making no attempt to move out with it. And now we see some units moving across the map to the watchtower. And yeah, Anuzarg is anticipating an attack of some kind. And oddly enough, because he chose to do a rush build and didn't rush with it, he's going to be pretty well defended for this. Yeah, I mean, Anti-Citizen makes a good point in the chat here. Is you really need Swarmos for anti-mech as Zerg. It's definitely true. Oh, Anuzarg's asking for a pause. Not sure what's going on here. Anyway, I'll finish that thought. But yeah, if you do have enough of anything, you can beat them. It's just like generally how stuff goes. Zero, use Shift Enter. You have asked your question to the observers. Well, okay. I guess they're going to continue the game from here. I need to be a little bit better about something first. Okay. And it doesn't really matter, as it seems Anuzarg is... Pushes for free because of the way the path is out here. But luckily for him, though, Zrqkyvx hasn't really reacted to this. And the roaches survive just fine. Doesn't check the watchtower, is running an overlord over the base. Does see the naturals being picked up. Upgrades as well as Hydras now coming out. Still not mining at that natural, though, the Terran. A little bit of an awkward situation for that. And really probably should be grabbing a third base pretty soon as the Zerg. He's definitely getting into the territory with the drones where he's going to want to consider that. Start to saturate both pretty soon. So I have gone quiet. Uh-oh. It's fixed now. Okay, good. I hope that's not what I think it is, because again, like I said, I do have my sound effects muted at the moment. I'm gonna try and mute the music as well, see if that helps. I'm just gonna have to imagine it. It definitely makes it a little harder to concentrate when you can't hear it, though. Those of you who have never tried that before, try playing this game with the sounds muted, and you realize that Blizzard's sound team is really good. There you go. Anuzarg's actually going for that third base now. He's moving his units out, kind of a forward defensive position by the look of it, near the watchtower. That is being picked up by Zrqkyvx. So he does have some forces at the front here. And that was my dad laughing at me. I don't know if you could hear that. I tried to do this like sideways wave thing where he waved at him without looking, and probably looked a little ridiculous. Anyway, and it looks like Zrqkyvx is actually trying to dodge the army of Anuzarg, but with all these overlords all over the place, he's going to know exactly where all this is, and he's probably just going to lose a chunk of his army if he just sits out here pretty much for free, because there's no way he can fight that Zerg force right now. Okay, Roger's coming out to the front, obviously going to kill anything here. The real question is actually, is he going to lose anything at all? It looks like he's not. Taking a perfect fight. All the Roaches survive. All those Marines and Hellions go down. And while he does have a good defensive position here, the he being Zrqkyvx, simple reality is he's going to have a really hard time pushing out with just this. The siege tanks by themselves are incredibly vulnerable without anything to back them up. Fortunately, not taking care of this Viking, so he's having free reign, the ability to just run around the map and snipe off overlords here and there. And he's doing a decent job of that so far. To manage to kill the one. He hasn't actually supply blocked Anuzarg, though, and as I say that, Anuzarg is now supply blocked and has 5 overlords building. But he's going to be able to move from here into really pushing his economy forward. Definitely has the resources for it. And not grabbing any additional drones, though. So while he does have that third up, it's just offering him additional protection. Okay, attack at the front. Here we have a... Nope, not an attack. Just a bunch of burrowed roaches thinking about how nice it would be to go inside the base. Looks like he's a little bit worried that there's detection there, though, and has backed off. I think he's seen what he needs to see, which was about, like, how many siege tanks was that? That was 9 siege tanks. Ugh. Yeah, definitely does not want those things to see him there. Zrqkyvx saying he needs his audio back. I wonder what happened. You know, there's this thing that can happen with StarCraft sometimes. For example, like if you go into your settings and you switch it from speakers to like, your headset, what can happen is sometimes the game itself won't realize you did that, and you need to go into the options menu and tweak, like poke at it a little bit to make it work right. So bizarrely enough, we have a situation where this SCV is like, oh god, don't look at me, oh god, okay, good. They're gonna stay right over there, and I'm going to pretend like they can't see me. I'm just gonna put my hands over my eyes. If I can't see them, they can't see me. And what that means for Zrq, though, is that he has complete and full knowledge of everything about the Zerg's composition. He knows that there are speed roaches, he knows the upgrades that they have, namely the lack thereof, and he knows that there are hydras, and he knows that nothing else has been added to the composition yet. What he doesn't know is that a Spire is actually just about to finish. So a Mutalisk switch is a very real possibility here. He may also just try and augment the army with this straight up right now, and he's definitely going to have the economy for this. He's pushing up his drone count into the 60s now, getting close to that. And it looks like Zrq's going to go for a double expand. This is a really, really risky maneuver, unless he's actually just going to try and use these for planned area defenses. Again, like, you can have a ridiculously good defense doing this, what he's doing, but there is a point where the Zerg's military might is just so ridiculous in comparison that you cannot get away with this. So again, that SCV is just really happy no one's bothered to look in the smoke yet. And unfortunately, that's about to change, and the Hydras do murder him finally. His parts strewn next to the watchtower. There's one Hydra in here that has a single kill from killing off that SCV. And here we go. Sensor tower being built, which is a good move. A little bit of idea of what's going on. The thing is, there's no way he's going to be able to defend both these bases. No way. In fact, he may have a problem defending right now because he's running out with a bunch of his siege tanks without having them in siege mode. They're going to get murdered relentlessly at the front. Oh, brutal. Down to 6 siege tanks already, and that actually may be very difficult to deal with this. And the problem is there's actually no high ground spotting, so he's going to take out that one command center. He's going to get the second one as well. That should really cancel that. And he can do a lot of damage at the front here, but he's actually just taking a lot of unnecessary damage. And he's actually brewed all the roaches, which means there was actually nothing to buffer there for the Hydras. They took a lot of extra damage right there. But he is killing off the siege tanks one by one, and frankly the army isn't really getting any smaller. There's continued production behind this, more roaches and Hydras coming out. Decent ball of Marines at the front here, but it's just getting tougher and tougher to really hold this, and I think Zrq is pretty much dead. Ooh, tables have turned pretty significantly in this game against the Terran, and it really needs a miracle right now to come back from this. He's got to lose his natural, if nothing else, and it seems that, again, there's just no detection up here. He hasn't scanned either, so these roaches, using that wonderful burrow movement, are able to get right up in the tank's face, just finish them off, taking minimal losses. And without any additional tanks to back this up, there's... Okay, one more tank in the back. But there's pretty much nothing to deal with this, and Zrq is having it. Buff man. Anyway, yeah, Prunef, I can't say I disagree with that. I think that definitely really swung things in one direction. What I personally feel, though, is that more than the move command was probably the fact that he waited so long to get his natural, just kind of put him a little too far